This lecture is from chapter 6 and it's on defining conformity. So I know the basic lecture I believe on this chapter is on conformity, but this is more specific on defining conformity. So let's look at the definition of conformity. Conformity is the overall term for acting differently due to the influence of others. Conformity is not just acting as other people act, it is also being affected by how they act. It is acting or thinking differently from the way you would act and think if you were alone. Thus, conformity is a change in behavior or belief to accord or go along with others. So, acceptance is a type of conformity. It's when you genuinely believe in what the group has persuaded you to do. You inwardly and sincerely believe that the group's actions are right. For example, I follow the law because I believe this is what's best for myself and others. I accept that idea because I know that it's best. Let's look at compliance, which is also a type of conformity. Compliance is conforming to an expectation or a request without really believing in what you're doing. These acts of compliance are often to reap a reward or to avoid a punishment. In other words, compliance is an insincere outward conformity, the opposite of acceptance. You don't really believe in what you're doing. To take it a step further, obedience is actually a type of compliance. It simply means doing something you wouldn't do otherwise because someone else says you need to or because rules or laws require it. So looking at an example of obedience would be, I follow the law not because I think this is best for the safety of others, but only because the government tells me to do so. So I only follow it not because I'm in agreement that it's safe for other people, but simply because authority tells me to do so. So those are some definitions of conformity, the types of conformity, and then obedience as a type of compliance. So let's ask the question, why do we conform? Well, there's the power of suggestibility. Suggestibility is the tendency to accept and act on the suggestions or prompts from others, often leading to changes in memory, beliefs, or behaviors. This concept plays a critical role in understanding how external influences can shape an individual's thoughts and experiences. There's a concept known as the chameleon effect, which also known as social tuning or social mimicry, and that refers to the unconscious inclination of an individual to adjust their behavior, attitudes, or beliefs to mimic others in their social environment. This tendency is often driven by the desire to be accepted and well received, and it can influence our thoughts, feelings, and actions in a number of ways. So it's more of an unconscious inclination, like it says, to adjust their behavior and beliefs in response to others' influence. Another reason why we conform is simply social norms. Social norms are the unspoken rules that govern how people interact with each other. They can vary from culture to culture and even from group to group within a culture. So defining social norms further, they serve as a social glue, providing a shared understanding of appropriate behavior and facilitating social cohesion. They encompass a wide range of expectations from basic manners and etiquette to cultural and moral values. Social norms are learned and reinforced through socialization processes, including our family, our school environment, social media. Some examples, just to go a little bit further, and this would be an example of just manners and basic etiquette, would be greeting people when you see them. That's just an accepted social norm. Saying thank you, holding the door open for other people, standing up when someone else enters the room, or offering to help someone carry something heavy. So sometimes we conform just because those are social norms. Those are just things we do in our society. Also, group size. Research has shown that we're more likely to conform to a large group of people than a smaller group. Another reason that we conform is unanimity. That's when everyone agrees. Imagine yourself in a conformity experiment, in which all but one of the people responding before you give the same wrong answer. Several experiments reveal that someone who punctures a group's unanimity deflates its social power. So, if everyone before you in a group gives the wrong answer, research has shown that you're more likely to conform and also give the wrong answer simply to create the or as maintain the cohesion of the group. And again, we see group cohesion. We're more likely to conform to our in group than our out group because we want our group to remain cohesive. People conform more when they must respond in front of others rather than writing their answers privately. And that makes sense. That's why a lot of surveys are anonymous because we tend to be more honest than when we're in front of other people. There, two types of social influence that you'll read about in your text. There's normative and informational. Normative would be getting along with others in pursuit of social approval or belonging, and to avoid disapproval or rejection. Informational, on the other hand, is going along with others because their ideas and behavior make sense. The evidence in our social environment changes our minds. People pleasers, we know, are more likely to conform. In contrast, people high in openness to experience, a personality trait connected to creativity and socially progressive thinking, are less likely to conform. Another reason of why we conform, people in collectivistic cultures are more likely to conform than those in individualistic cultures. I think we've discussed this before, what the difference is between collective and individualistic cultures, but let's review the difference between those. Individualism versus collectivism. Individualism is a social perspective that places importance on the autonomy, rights, and freedom of individuals. It believes that each person possesses inherent value and is entitled to make independent choices and pursue their own goals. It values personal responsibility and recognizes the unique qualities and contributions of each individual to society. Collectivism is a philosophical and social ideology that emphasizes the welfare and interests of the collective group, or puts the community over the individual. It promotes the idea that individuals should prioritize the needs of the group and work together towards common goals and shared values. Collectivism often values cooperation, collaboration, and independence. It values the opposite of independence. It values interdependence, or depending on each other, acting as a group. So you can imagine that probably people in a collectivist society are more likely to conform because they're working as a group, and so the group wants to, again, achieve unanimity and all have a unanimous idea. Whereas someone in an individualistic culture is more focused on themselves and therefore is willing to be different from a group. So those are just the primary differences between an individualistic and collectivistic society. So that's about it for further defining conformity and specifically asking the question, why do we conform? If you have any questions about that, please let me know.